Hey, good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing? I know this is crazy, but my goodness, I had to come on here. I'm supposed to have a guest come on, but I know he's busy, so he may pop in here a little later, and that's fine, but that's okay. There is the link in the chat room over there. If you want to come on and have a discussion with me, you're more than welcome. Come on here. Matter of fact, I encourage it. Wanting to talk about a few things. So we're going to get started until my guest subject come on. Let's see here. Waylon, where you at, brother? Get your rear end on here if you want to. Good evening to you, Sharon and Mr. Thomas. How you doing, bud? I hope you're doing well. Stephen Hicks, good to see you. And oh, that's all I can see right now. There's more folks popping in as we speak, and I want to say hi to everyone. Hey, Miss Cheyenne, how are you doing? Cheyenne Gayheart, I hope you're doing well. Uh, look forward to seeing everyone. And Ohio freshwater fisherwoman. I have not seen you on the channel, young lady, but I'm glad you're here. We're going to try to have a little discussion. By the way, my man Josh just popped in there. You see this, Josh? Let me see if I can do this. There we go. Ice box right over here. Josh is, I guess, the ringleader of Buckeye Cryptid Society, Bigfoot Research. Thank you for the shirt, brother. I appreciate it. I wanted to wear it tonight. I was going to save it for the camp, but you know what? I just wanted to wear it tonight. I think it looks good. I do appreciate it, buddy. I really do. I hope y'all like that. Uh, Ohio, freshwater. I wonder where she's from. Reckon she's from Ohio. But anyways, let's get started, guys. Y'all are in the chat room. This question has been brought up. I don't know how many times and I see different reactions all over the place. So what I'm going to get started with until I'm hoping my guest comes on. Uh, what do you think Bigfoot really is? I am really curious about that. I mean, I have my ideas, and Josh, you're more than welcome. Come on, I'm gonna put the link up here again. Pow! It is a nice shirt. It is a beautiful. It fits good. I love it. But there you go. There's the link right there, guys. If you want to come on the show, y'all just click on it and come on in here and have a discussion with me. I could use somebody to talk to. But anyways, nevertheless, I would just keep going. Uh, the many theories that I've seen out there about what Bigfoot is, and I'm just going to tell you mine right off the bat. I believe flesh and blood all the way. There are certain circumstances that I tend to believe that it's animal, and I know many people want to think they're forest people, and I can see where they're getting this from. But till I am proven wrong, I'm going to still stay with flesh and blood all the way. But there are other theories out there that they're from the Nephilim. There are some theories out there that they are from aliens, uh, inner dimensions. Uh, what else do you want to call them? That they use portals, cloaking, like they have magic powers. I guess you'd say, guys, I don't subscribe to that, but I will tell you this: I am open-minded. All right, and when I say I'm open-minded, it is not so much that I'm just going to sit here and uh, tell you that you know yeah, they have these possibilities. I'm not going to do that. But what I require from someone that says anything different than flesh and blood is this: get me video, show it to me. If you can show it to me, then we got something to talk about. If you're going to say that hey, Miss Renee, how you doing? If they jump out of portals, okay, I want to see the video because you're talking about something that's breathing, living, yep, some say paranormal. Uh, where is and how are you saying that they're paranormal? You know, and I'm not saying nothing about Cheyenne. I mean that's what she's heard. But I want to know is can you get video of it? And one of the things that is a quote that sticks with me a whole lot is you can't prove an unknown with an unknown. You know. Let's see who is this. All right, let me get this gentleman on here. I'm glad he come on. Hey, Josh.
How are you doing?
How you? I'm doing good. Look like you're growing a little bit here.
Oh yeah.
It's getting cold in Ohio, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you come on here, bud. Do you like my shirt?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for asking me to join.
Oh yeah, yeah. My pleasure. Be honest with you. But anyways, we're kind of into the conversation. Let's see. All right, there we go. Now I'm talking. Oh, Thomas, how you doing, bud? Can you hear me?
Let me
He
see if.
might-
Give me 1 second, buddy. My one thing's messing up on this. Let me see if I can get my headphones to kick on
Okay.
so I can hear.
I don't know if Thomas can hear us or not.
I don't know. Give me 1 second here.
All right. Well, while y'all doing that, I'm gonna respond to some of the comments being made over here. Stephen Hicks says if they're
All
not
right,
normal,
Icebox, how are you?
I'm doing good. Are you on time delay?
Yeah,
Yeah. He said if they're not normal, they're paranormal. Uh, we'll get into that. We will get into that. So far, Thomas, are you having a good Christmas so far over
yeah,
that
it's all
way?
good.
Is it? Josh, you froze up on me, brother. Thomas is chewing. He's got some gum going on. So, Thomas, while I've got you hung up in here, what do you think they are?
It won't work. It's all right.
Thomas, when you get it, just let me know.
Trying
I
to.
think, yeah, I think he's on a delay. All right. Well, Josh, what do you think? I'm going to ask you, what do you think Bigfoot really is?
To be honest, I have kind of a mixed belief on how they are because
Mhm.
I believe they may have some human DNA, but they resemble a whole lot of primate DNA. So I think it's kind of a mix of that. Um, so it's kind of hard to explain if you get into that. Um, I know a lot of people will think either they are interdimensional or all that.
Mhm.
I can state this for my experience, and for people that don't know me, I grew up with these things, spent a lot of time with them,
Mhm.
and was one-on-one interactions. I have never seen them go through a portal. I've never seen them disappear into thin air and that. So to that, they are flesh and blood creatures. But to the point, do I know if they're a strict full-blooded animal like a primate or
Mhm.
a full-blooded they have nothing but human DNA? I can't say that because I don't know that for a fact.
Okay. Hey, Miss Joanne, I'm so glad to see you. I always worry about that young lady. All right, let's go this route, okay? The Nephilim or Neptune, whatever people want to say, is something to do with the fallen angels, if I'm thinking
Mhm.
correctly. And there is some other theories on they're not even 100% sure on this that they mated with humans, and this is the result. Uh, I, on the other hand, I don't know about all that. Okay, and I know it goes back to biblical times, and this is just my own opinion. But we're going to go with your theory, okay? That you believe that they have some human DNA, correct?
Mhm.
All right. How does it have human DNA? That's my question. I mean, I've got a theory on my own, but I want to hear yours.
Well, if you look at the evolutionary chain and you get into ancient hominoids,
Mhm.
where they had the full covered body and that, but they were more they how do you explain it? They had the ape like deme like look on them, but they
Mhm.
were a more of a human hominoid, and they've been discovered in Siberia. They've been discovered in different places around the world. That is where I'm at on it. I think what it is it's an evolutionary chain, and what happened is something split off on the genetic level, and so it kept part of that DNA that us humans have, but it kept the animalistic ape like because if you get into like Neanderthal, that had
Mhm.
primate DNA that also was a hominoid, a human-like hominoid. So I can't tell you which.
Okay. All right. Thomas, can you hear us now? Thomas.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. What do you think about that? What's your theory on that? Yeah, I believe he's really time delayed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, Josh is sitting there saying that he thinks, okay, that it has human DNA in it. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I believe that human DNA is if you look at primates, okay, they share like 98.5% of our DNA.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's what I think. And let me just see if this makes any kind of sense to you, because I know there's been a lot of uh, testing done on samples and all this and that, and uh, it's I kind of go back to it. It just depends on where you want to go with this. Okay, if you're going to go human DNA in it, uh, they they the Indians. I'm gonna go back that far. Okay,
Mhm,
and it used to be the stories were back in my day when I was basically your age, Josh, or a little younger. Uh,
mhm,
Back then, the stories were that Bigfoot would stay outside of the teepees, the fires, and basically stay on the verge of the light. Okay,
mhm,
and they would start crying like a baby. And what that was attempting to do was to basically tug on the lady's heartstrings, thinking there was a baby in trouble outside of the camp, and they would go see what was wrong, and that's where they would get kidnapped and it made part of the group, I guess you would say. And I don't know if that's where they got the human DNA part of. Uh, Pro Magnum men has needs, just saying. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. You know, Bigfoot to me is uh, very, very smart. It's got a large brain. We know chimpanzees can be taught to do things in spaceships. Okay, been done. We also know that gorillas are very smart. Uh, but to have what I call the language, they have the opposable thumb, but to have a language of their own, I'm sure they do. All animals do. Okay,
mhm.
uh, but I think their intelligence goes beyond what a chimpanzee and a gorilla can do. Is basically what I'm getting at. They are so very close to us that it's not funny. All right, let's see if he's. Oh, by the way, Flat Rock, you are welcome to join this conversation. Matter of fact, I had you in mind when I started doing this show tonight. So if you want to come on, I'm going to send that link to you. If you don't want to come on, that's okay. Good evening to you. Oh, I had Thomas back. He disappeared on me again. So, anyways, I feel like there is something that happened along the way, and we're going to go back and we're going to respond to some of the uh, comments that's been made. Let's see here. All right. Honestly, I believe Bigfoot to be crossbred primate with some human DNA. Okay. And by the way, Miss Cheyenne, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. All right. Miss Sharon says it clearly says in the scriptures that the Nephilim all died in the flood. Bigfoot isn't mentioned in the Bible. So where are we getting this? Uh, the human DNA is ancient human. Yeah, they're definitely smarter than what we know right now, Stephen Hicks. We can't even comprehend how smart they are. So, anyways, where does this human DNA come from? That's what I'm curious about. And we'll get into what other people are saying, paranormal and all that kind of stuff. But right now, we're just kind of questioning, where does the DNA come from? Do you have any idea?
Mm, I actually I'm actually looking into that. That's one of the things that I have a question for that I ask myself, spending as much time as I have and learning as much as I have while I spent that time. Um, if you look at them when they're with their family group and everything, and you get understanding, and then you start looking at, okay, how other people in the world start, like, that are have to live off the land or anything where they don't have like all the amenities that we have. Like, we have TV, we have all this, but people that's like in the Amazon rainforest where they don't have that stuff, they live like strictly off the land.
Hmm.
It really brings you to see how much alike we really are to them. So I wanted to go back, and I started digging into files, and I was looking at ancient hominids. Now, when you get into ancient hominids, that can be ancient human races back like to the Mayans and stuff like that. And I kept going back, and I kept going back. Well, I kept coming to, like, before, if you look at the evolutionary chain, where you look, there was chimpanzee, and then they had a little bit where it started to walk bipedal. Have you seen that where they do that timeline of the
Yeah,
evolutionary
yeah,
chain?
yeah.
Um, it was I was looking at that, and I started looking, and I think it goes back to that, because if you're looking at that chimpanzee, where from there to to that hominid walking bipedal, and you go further down, and we see all these branch offs of all these hominids, could it actually have already not came from anywhere? It was already there. It was just okay, so I'm going to do it this way. Take the COVID vaccine, or the COVID flu that
Yeah,
everybody had, how it had different variations as it mutated.
yeah.
Could that could there have been a mutation somewhere in the DNA, and it branched off of what we already know about the hominids back then that were more related to us? And it was always there. It just we don't really have the full basis to say, to trace it back. You know what I mean? It's not there. We don't have that DNA to trace it back to. You get what I
Okay.
mean?
Sure, sure. But now, all right, now you're going to have to go in. There's many rabbit holes in this whole
Oh,
deal. So, and all this is just a discussion, folks. And it's not to, uh, like I said, if you believe that they jump out of portals, you're more than welcome to come on here and give your reasons why you think that. I mean, I'm not going to down you for it, but I'd like to hear it and know why you think that. That's why I'm saying I'm kind of open minded about this. Well, like Thomas says, read the book of Enoch, and I believe they were descendants of the Nephilim and were kicked out of modern society and regressed to more animal state. That's very good reasoning. I will go that route. All right, but see now you was talking about the the progression of mankind from
mm-hmm.
chimpanzee to apes, and I could see the branches, but there again, you're going to have to go with evolution. Okay, and evolution and the Bible do not mix together. Okay, and I
No.
understand. You know, so now is all these things. How can I say that biblical and evolution can be fit together? I don't know. I'm going to tell you this much: all that kind of stuff will be revealed at the end of time. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we don't really know. Now, I do think that the Nephilim, I don't know. I really, really don't know. Yeah, I do. Well, I do. Uh,
Well, I kind of have uh, and I'm a li- I can, I'll say this: when it comes to full out, okay, understanding of the Bible and the way it states things, I understand what everybody says. Then you get into everybody with evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more that should have been in that Bible that wasn't. Maybe there was actual creation that was like the chimpanzee, and God made it. And like everything, anything we know of can mutate on certain conditions. Now, he could have made all animals and all life and didn't expect to have the mutation that made us. Now, you may mention the first humans in the Bible, but if he made all creation and he has all this knowledge on that, you could have had evolution, but it just not be stated in that Bible.
Yeah.
That could be missing from that book. There's a lot of it that I know. If you look at the different books, like King James to different Bibles, some of it has more than others. Some of it doesn't have some of it. So there could have been documents that were supposed to be in there that look at how many civilizations we have no clue about because all their
Mm-hmm.
documentation was burned or destroyed. So I leave the open mind to it could have been a creation, or he could have created all things, and there been a mutation down the line that ended up making it a little more that, and then documents just not be there.
Okay. All right. So if we're going to go biblical on this, let me, because I love reading these comments out here.
Yeah.
With all the creations from God. Okay. So now we're going biblical here. Why can't they simply be their own creation? God has the blueprints of all his creations. When he tweaks this, he has another creature. That's a very good thought. If you're going to go biblical, that is a very good one. Uh, Sharon, the watchers who fell from heaven even procreated with animals. I've heard that. Now we're going to, uh, and Thomas can straighten me out if I'm wrong about this. Now you're going back to the Book of Enoch. He's basing his theories off of that. All right, Sasquatch, yes, Raylan and I've been playing with Restream. It's Christmas time. Sasquatch have families, communications, build structures, are good at blending in with nature. Yes, they are. You tell people just one thing, that Bigfoot exists. Well, boom, you're crazy. But now you got to tell them, hey, they got families, they got clans, they have their own language, they can understand ours. They build structures for whatever reason they want to, and are very, very good at blending in with nature. They are masters of it that we can't even nearly comprehend. Uh, Flat Rock, what I've seen here is flesh and blood. They bleed. They bleed. So, and Thomas is just giving this out for food for thought. And we
Mhm.
have several people that believe flesh and blood, but I believe in that icebox evolution. She believes more on the evolution side. Uh, no matter where they come from, they are still breathing flesh and blood animals. Hey, Steve, been watching. Hey, guys, I'm sorry, but Steve, I've been watching your lives and your chats, and I've seen what you've been doing here lately. I want to get with you on that because I'm looking to try to improve some things, and I love what you're doing over there. I just haven't been in the chats, but I have been watching you, brother. You're doing good stuff over there. It's even in the book of Genesis. Okay. Thomas, you'll have to explain that one to me. I have not heard this about the Genesis, but I'm going to go this route. All right. You got the flood, right? If we're going biblical,
Mhm.
okay? All right. So if you're going to go biblical, you're going to have to go with the flood. You're going to have to go with Noah. Noah has to put two of every living creature on earth on this boat. Okay. And now, is that correct? Am I good to go with that assumption? Is that is that right? Yeah. You see where I'm going with this?
I would think for what I know, but I was wanting to make sure because I don't want to be wrong because it's
Well, no, no, there is no wrong or right. Yeah, and guys, please, I'm not trying to judge, ridicule.
no. I
No,
don't want
I'm
to
trying
say
to walk
yes
down
and
this
then
rabbit
actually
hole.
state something different.
Huh?
Because I'm not 100% familiar with the Bible, but I don't want to state something that, hey, that's true, and it actually say something else. Is what I'm
O-
saying.
Okay. Yeah. Merry
You
Christmas to you,
might
Steve.
be more familiar with it than I am.
Well, when it comes to the Bible, now we're talking the King James versions. I'm familiar with it, but no, I'm no expert by no means. But according to now, this is my timeline. That's what I'm thinking. All right, if
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about the Nephilim and that Thomas is talking about, uh, that means they were around before the flood. Okay, okay. So if you have this creature that even has this kind of blood in it, that's our assumption that God made it rain for 40 days, 40 nights, and flooded the entire earth. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why He had Noah put on every kind of animal, two by twos and all this and that. You've heard stories on the ark. And then when, of course, it started drying up, they found land and poof, everything disperses. Well, you're going to have food to feed these things, water, you know, that kind of stuff to supply, what I'm saying. I'm sure if that was to be going on, something was set up for things to survive, you know what I'm saying? But you would also have to include Sasquatches.
Mm-hmm.
Or was this happening after the flood, like Thomas just said? Did this come around after the flood? Here's what, let's think of it this way. Were the creatures, we're talking creatures themselves, humans, uh, all types of species, monkeys, squirrels,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. What about insects? Okay. Look at how many different insects that's in this world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Spiders don't fly, so they can't be hanging out in the air. They'll drown. You see where I'm going with this? Are these other insects and creatures end up coming around after the flood? It's a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole.
Well, I could say some of I knowing about animals, I could say some of the insects, yes, they could survive if there was a flood that big. Um, but then I start thinking, okay, another part of me that a lot of people don't know, and I've told you this many a times, Icebox. I grew up taking care and helping out with exotic animals.
Yep.
You said it rained 40 days and 40 nights, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if you're getting an elephant on that boat,
Yep.
you're getting every single animal on that boat.
Yep.
One, that boat would probably be flooded for the fact that there's so much weight on it. You would not be able to hold up very well, especially back then with what you would be using.
Hmm.
Number two, an elephant eats tons of pounds of food. You get animals like a tiger, they eat pounds of meat. And you keep compiling that for every animal on earth that you have two of, and
Yep.
you think of that, now go back to what I said about the weight. You've got all that. Now, why that's flooded, what is earth made up of? What is 99% earth made up of?
Water.
Salt water.
Yep.
It's going to be salt water. And salt water dehydrates you if you drink it. So then you're going to have to think of how are you going to purify that water to be safe for all the animals to drink? Is it stored on the thing? So on that point, I think saying that you have all these animals on a boat, that one I have a hard time to believe. Now, back to the insects. Spiders. I know this for a fact. You can take a spider and flush it down your toilet,
Mhm.
guys, and it can swim. And it will stay alive. It'll actually
Yep.
swim its way back up. Um, a lot of like your flies or stuff like that, they'll land on water and be able to stay. A lot of your insects are able to withstand a lot of water, especially if you look at like your Amazon rainforest or your tropical climates where you have a lot of rain. that will sustain the water content being raised. Most insects would survive. That's where I could go with your thought. Um,
Mhm.
what about the insects? Well, the insects I could see surviving, but the things that I'm not seeing is it would have to happen after that flood if it actually happened, because there's too much weight for something that for like that to float for that time period and that to be built.
Well,
You,
I'm gonna go with this route. Let me go this route with you.
yeah, go ahead.
And it's just another little, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
go
if you're
ahead.
going to go biblical, God has a way of sustaining things and people and animals. Okay, we can't even question how He even feeds birds. All right, I mean, when it comes to God, you can't question how He does things. Okay, uh,
Uh-huh.
can He make people? When I say people, I'm talking about animals and creatures and such like that. They
Uh-huh.
all are together. You like you said, you got tigers, elephants, bears, goats, pigs, sheep. On and on and on and on. And some of them are what I call food. Some of them are predators, and some of them are just pretty much what's the word when they just only eat vegetables? They're not
A
carnivorous.
vegetarian.
What are they?
Oh,
No,
an
they're vegetarian,
no, a
carnivore.
omnivore, carnivore.
Yep, herbivore. I believe
Yeah,
that's it, herbivore. All right, so you got these different kinds of creatures in there. Uh, how are they not attacking one another? Because I mean,
very
hey,
true.
if I'm a tiger, and I see a little old calf or a lamb come by, I ain't hungry for another 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and all right, let me catch up on the comments real quick, and you think about
Very good.
what I'm coming up with. I'm hoping someone will send a sample, i.e., saliva, hair, blood, and see if they can determine the origin of where they come from, like ancestors or 23andMe. That's very interesting. I'm wondering if they can do that.
What?
Stephen Hicks thinks that's all. What he's talking about is if you could have origins. Well, Ancestors.com, uh, they have records, and they go back and look up for records that's in your family history. 23andMe, I think, does the same thing. I do not know too much about 23andMe,
Uh-huh.
but anyways, I know what he's saying.
Oh, I
He's
was
wanting to
wondering.
know that,
No, I was wondering if he was saying a sample. The reason they haven't tried that I know
yeah,
of, is because no one's got the root of the hair.
I've said it too, and I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you where I got it from. Uh, oh, what is her name? Wait, to remind me. What's that lady's name? Mary. I can't remember her last name. I could look it up, but she was on a show, and I asked her about that. And she said when they tested the hair, they didn't have the root. So, and that's where your paternal side shows up. Because right now it's everybody says, well, we don't know what the father was. The mother was human. Well, there's your answer. You got to test the root.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I say Stephen thinks they must have evolved. I'm hoping I'm right, Stephen. They evolved after the flood. Uh, yeah, Todd, that rabbit hole gets really long ears. Uh, Guys, I've kind of stopped up. I've been sick for a couple of days. It's just now hitting me again. The flood lasts 150 days. God remembers Noah. Fountains and floodgates are closed. The waters recede. Month 7, day 17. Ark grounds on mountains of Ararat. And that's what I heard too. No religious debate, but God compelled the animals to behave and Noah's ark to survive. That answers that. That's what I was getting at. God has a way of doing things. Exactly, Josh. I don't know what she's exactly about, but I personally believe there are two types of flesh and blood critters: patty type with human DNA, and the Freeman footage type, non-human DNA. Mary Joyce, that's her. That's where I got it from, and I thought that was very, very good. Uh, Melvin Ketchum has the answers, but she's not releasing it. So we're left out here shooting arrows in the dark. And I really like this part right here with Flat Rock. I've had a discussion with him. I wish he'd come on the show if he would like. Flat Rock, if you do, just tell me and I'll send you the link again or I'll post it up. But he said, we've had this discussion and I know where he got it from. If I remember right, he got it from M.K. Davis. Because we was talking about the types. Josh, me and you've been on a show before, and I always ask about the footprints.
Mhm.
You remember?
Yeah.
And I want to know, are they human shaped or are they oval shaped? And
Mhm.
that kind of builds up a record in my brain. What exactly are we dealing here with? And that's why I asked that question because uh, if I'm thinking right, Flat Rock, and you can straighten me out, with the human DNA, they're more human shaped, whereas the not human is more rounded, if I'm thinking correctly.
Well, I got something on that I just found out, Icebox. And I was I was really you said that about the oval and then the human shape.
Yep. Hey,
You
Flat
know
Rock.
how nice to meet you, Flat Rock. Um,
Yeah, Flat Rock. This is Josh. Josh, this is Flat Rock. Very good
nice
Hello.
to
guy.
meet you. But what I was saying is you guys I watched when you were talking about the footprints, and I've
Uh-huh.
heard on the show with you. I found out something that I have read and then I looked at and then I remembered seeing this. They're in the grassman. They kind of have the more shape like a human. Well, now they're finding there is one with 3 toes. They're finding them
Yeah.
pigeon-toed, and the one that has the 3 toes is more oval, like what you guys were saying wasn't the human type.
Uh-huh.
But one footprint was the oval, one footprint was the human. And then they were finding oval shape both feet. Then they were finding human shape both feet. And there were the witnesses that were saying they were seeing these. They were also seeing the creature, and the way they were explaining them did match the description of an Ohio grassman. So there's
Okay.
three different differences in their footprint that we see right here in Ohio, which kind of makes me question: is there almost a hybrid DNA mixed in with this also that nobody even knows about?
We'll go to that. Flat Rock, what do you think, bud?
Well, I believe what M.K. Davis told me is what I believe. They about the footprints. The difference
Uh-huh.
in the footprints. Like the patty. Having the human footprints, and he believes that's the one with human DNA. The one like the Freeman footage with the like an hourglass shaped foot. He thinks them are the ones without the human DNA, the real critters without the mixture of human DNA. And to me, it made total sense on that theory, what he was telling me.
Okay. Hey, good evening to you, AT. Just letting you know, I see you. I hope you're feeling all right tonight. Sorry, guys. AT has some problems, and I'm making sure he's all right. All right. Now, I'm going to go back to Josh real quick. You said the 3 toes. This is not the
Mm-hmm,
first time I've heard of 3 toes. Matter of
mm-hmm,
fact, and I'm sure Flat Rock can relate to this, back in the movie of Boggy Creek,
Mm-hmm.
it was accused of having 3 toes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got started in this years and years and years ago, I talked to Jeff Meldrum, and he says something about, well, it doesn't fit into their program. Okay. And what back then, what they were trying to prove was that Bigfoot was basically Gigantopithecus, if I'm saying that right, and the
mm-hmm.
evolution thereof. Something that come across I want to say the Bering Straits, if that's the right word for it, where the connection between Russia and Alaska and all that,
Land bridge.
the land bridge, and that's what these Bigfoot are, which they mean they have to have 5 toes. Okay, that was his point. All right, I never really subscribed to that. Uh, for some reason, that 3 toe deal is just always stuck with me, and I never did, just say, okay, yeah, that's the way it has to be. And maybe that's because I'm trying to be a free thinker about what I do and what I believe. I don't let one convince me unless it's, undeniable. Uh, let's put it this way. I use reasoning and common sense. Flat Rock tell you, you'll tell me, I know everybody knows me by now. I use reasoning and common sense. If you want to go beyond that, now you're going to have to prove it to me. Just much like I have to prove, I don't have to because I really don't care. Bigfoot exists, and you try to tell people that, I've opened up quite a few minds since I've had this show. But anyways, you're telling me that, and I heard it, three-toed Bigfoot prints have been found in Ohio.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, the only place that we actually ever heard of them was down around south, down there, Missouri, Florida, and Flat Rock is pretty close to these areas. If he's not on the verge of, have you seen or heard anything like that down your way, Flat Rock?
No, not around my way. Now I can give you my thoughts about the three-toed prints. There's
Please
two of
do.
them. You got ancestors, incest, Bigfoots, brother, sister, father, daughter, whatever.
Yeah.
That could cause a three-toed Bigfoot. And you got that, since they're on all fours and they're running through these thick woods, they could actually, mess their toes up. They rot off. You got three toes. They could freeze off. Two of them freeze off. You still got three toes. So that's three different ways that you could end up with three-toed Bigfoots. Now, my main one, though, is ancestry. I believe that's the reason they get three toes is, incest. That's my personal opinion on that.
Well, I'm
Now,
going to say,
is that a fact? No. Just all opinion.
well, I will tell you this much. I've seen several types of footprints. Some look crippled up, and I believe, hey, if you're out there running around in the woods, I don't care how thick your bones are. There's going to be certain circumstances that's going to break a leg or
Yeah.
twist a foot around and it don't heal right and this and that kind of stuff. But guys, I'm going to tell this, and I've never said it on any of the shows, and nobody ever asked me. So I'm going to just tell it right here. These good people in the chat room have come over here to listen to the show, knowing good and well it's Christmas time, and I'm going to tell you this much. My footprint that I saw in this hard ground, but was covered with dust and I'm gonna say sandy type stuff, but it's very dry. It's where water would come off of my trailer back in them days, and it would pool up there. Okay, so when it dried up, it was left as a lot of dust, and I'm probably talking like that thick, maybe this thick. When it stepped in it that next morning after I saw it, it left a footprint. Okay. It's probably about 14. I'm not going to extend it past 15 inches long because my guesstimate was around 14 inches. Of course, it was twice as wide. But in it was three toes. Okay. I never tell people that because they don't ask. I just tell them about what the length was. All right. And why I say it was three toes is because that's all I could see. And it wasn't like it was sharp pointed or clawed or whatever you want to call it. It was rounded. And then you had another middle toe, and then you had your outside toe, which was smaller, of course. You could tell that it was a right foot. But in between those rounded toe prints, there was enough room for two more toes. Okay. That's how I'm going to put it, and that's how I'm going to leave it because there was not evidence of them other two toes. Could them other two toes be riding high? And you know what I mean. They could have been broken up. You know what I'm saying? So does that lead the Bigfoot has three toes? I leave it up to you guys to decide.
Yeah. I was just going by that one in Falk. They found in Falk, that three toe when they found Falk, had them three long,
Yeah.
Just three long toes. That's it. Had the foot and the three long toes. I mean, it could have been a birth defect. You just never
Yeah.
know. You just never know.
Yeah. What's your
Being
substance?
cold as it is over in Arkansas, it could have, been frostbite that caused two of them to go. You just never know.
Yeah, you never do. And like I was saying, you could have broke them first two toes or them two middle toes.
Mm-hmm.
Or like this right here is there's your big one. That one shows up. This one's riding high, or this one's riding high. This one's riding high. You know what I'm saying? So You see where I'm going with that. Josh, what do you think?
My opinion on it, and I was just watching Legend of the Boggy Creek last night. I watched 1 and 2. It was funny that we mentioned.
One of my
uh,
favorite all time movies.
yeah, mine too. Uh, my thought on it is, I personally have never seen. I've seen a three-toed footprint before. Now, this made me want to ask you a question real quick, Icebox.
Sure, sure.
Did yours have webbing? Did it look like there was a little bit of skin, or like where you could see in between the toes where a line would be where there would be webbing?
I couldn't tell you that. Okay, and one, I'm working off memory. Two, I don't remember no webbing. And I know what you're saying. It that dirt, that dust that I'm telling you about. Okay,
Mhm.
it only goes down so far until the substrate is just too hard, unless it's muddy, and even then, that like it's real rocky ground underlaid. So the print itself might have been, you know, maybe 16th inch, whatever. You could really tell that it was a footprint, but it
Yeah,
doesn't go down into the ground enough to let me know if there was some kind of webbing. Just be honest with you.
so I
But
was
that's a
gonna
good
say
question.
up here, and like I said, I've seen it, but I haven't seen a bunch of it. Like as common as everybody would say in the South, when you get into like skunk ape and that you see the three toes. Now
Yeah,
here I've seen it, but what everybody described or says they normally see webbing on a three-toed print, there's no webbing there. It would be, and when you would do it, it'd be like this one would be here. You would see this one, and you'd see where it'd come up.
uh-huh.
And this was in snow when I seen it, so it was pretty deep. It came up, and you could almost see where it came in between the toe, and then you seen the third toe or the second toe. Yeah, I'm mixed up.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, but you could see where it was coming up in between the fur, because you could see like where it would stop and where it was on top, where their toes actually dug down in.
Yeah.
So it on me, I could say I've seen it, but I can't say it's common or it's not common. I mean, like I said, I read a whole bunch of reports where people were saying they were seeing these three-toed prints. So I'm kind of on the wall. Is it maybe a defect on birth? Could it have been a broken toe, like Flat Rock said? Could have been frozen off. Um, but I don't, without more evidence to present and more to look at this and see more of it for myself, I
Hmm.
can't say much. You know me,
What?
I'm one, I can't say something unless I have enough evidence to 100% back myself up.
Well, being up here in the north, uh, these last few years, I'm born and raised Alabamian. Okay, so I can relate to what Flat Rock is saying in his environment down there, but I can also, since I've been up here, relate to what goes on up here, and it strikes me curious that the Bigfoot down south, such as the ones down there, they seem to be more of the patty type, and I'm going to go black colored. I
Mhm.
found something interesting the other day that, it's another whole different rabbit hole. I'll get into it some other show. But, anyways, the Bigfoot are different up here. Uh, where we go, I've heard of the grass man, and that there are another species that's not as aggressive in the same area. But
Mhm.
I've also heard there are some that are aggressive, very aggressive, more so than the Ohio grassman, that are still in that same area also. Uh, that strikes me very curious. And here's the thing, guys. I've done an interview with a particular lady, and I don't know if Steve is on here, but he's the one that basically told me I need to talk to this lady. And I did. And she was the first one I ever heard that there was a clan living behind her place, and they would have a big red one uh, come up, and basically they would get into fights. Uh, the big red one had red eyes and this kind of stuff, and she was, at first you kind of think, ooh, but she was very level-headed about all this. And when I asked her, I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. These red eyes, do you think they were projecting this color, or was it reflective?" And she goes, "Oh no, they're reflective." Okay, so now I said, "Okay, she's being level-headed about this." But she was telling me that there's different species basically visiting her area, and they would, do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I'm just kind of curious of all these different types, different species, incest, interbreeding. The big ones kidnapped the black ones' youngers. They're females. Uh, all this is, a big old rabbit hole. Uh, so the footprints is very, very curious to me, and especially since me and Flat Rock had talked about this. Now that's one of my things that I want to know: what's footprint look like? Give me an example. Uh, the footprint I found up here looks really different from the one that I found in Alabama from years ago. Uh, it was more, I'm gonna say the hourglass shape. Okay, the one up here is oval, but it's still got 5 toes.
Mm-hmm.
Be very curious. Especially
Hey, Icebox.
yeah,
Hold on, it's me. Um, do you mind if I transfer over to my laptop? My phone is at 3%
sure,
and it's dying. Okay,
sure,
I'll be right back
sure.
on.
All
All
right,
right, sorry about
all
that.
right, all right, no problem. So anyways, did my chat? No, my chat had to quit working. Guys, I apologize. Thomas, Flat Rock will be with you in just a second, okay?
Take your time.
Uh, but everybody's wanting to say hi to Flat Rock. Whether trying to silence or discredit or wonder why. No, he's wanting her to actually finish, Thomas. Uh, let's see here. Never spoke to the lady, but she has a lot of evidence. It takes big money to finish the study. Well, she was basically ex-nayed, and I would love to see her finish that night. I've seen those myself. It could be inbreeding. Also, Thomas is along with you, Flat Rock, that it could be inbreeding. What does the panel think of the trench woods, Sasquatch, Yeti, different clads? That's kind of what I was alluding to a while ago, Stephen. I probably answered that for you. I don't know. The one I saw did was not a gator track either. So there's others seeing these 3 toes, Flat Rock.
Yeah, can I say one thing about the gator toes? Now there
Yeah.
is one being passed around in the conferences that you can actually tell it's a gator track. Because it comes to a point. The 3 toes actually come to a point. They're not round at all. They're coming to a point. And so, everybody knows that I've talked to knows that's a gator track, but they're putting that out as a Bigfoot track. Now, I can't say all of them are, no, but this one came to a point. Them 3 toes came to a point. And it comes from right around the swamp areas down in South Florida. And you could tell it's a gator foot. But they're trying to pass it off as a Bigfoot track, and it's just not.
Well, I've never seen a gator track personally, but I take it, we watch the show, Swamp People and all that. Them things has got some big feet. You
Yes,
know
they
what I
do.
mean?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
All right, skunk eggs are known for 3-toed tracks. That's from Thomas. Waylon says frogman, and me and Waylon had that discussion, and I've talked to a few other people that's it's like it's another cryptid of some sort. Sounds like interbreeding. Rabbit, yeah, it's a rabbit hole, brother. Henry, glad to see you, man. I'm sorry I hadn't stayed up with my chat room. I got involved with talking to these gentlemen. My blog, Sunny 11. Glad to see you. Really am glad to see you. I mean, I haven't seen you before unless you come under a different name, but I'm glad to see you. I believe Bigfoot has abilities us humans don't that makes them masters and king of their environment. Yeah, I'm gonna answer that question too. Uh, Thomas grew up in the South. Hi, panel. This is, hey, guys, anybody, if you're new here and you want to come on the show, I will post up the link again. You're more than welcome to come in and join the conversation if you would like to. The best Sasquatch are from the dirty South.
As long as they root for Alabama.
That's right. There you go. There you go. The monkey type of Bigfoot are a lot more aggressive, and I tend to agree with that. I really do. We have 5-toe and 3-toe in the same general area. 3-toe is not walking with the big dark color. It is female. She is smarter than the big guy. Well, ain't they all? Yeah, hang on just a second. Let me go through these right here. Let me post this up. Yeah, I'll post it back up. Lizard man, easy to tell. Is it crazy that I believe in Bigfoot and not a werewolf?
I agree with that, Stephen.
All right, let me post that back up. There we go. That way, I think Josh needs to gets the link here. Okay, so where was I going to go with this? Let me see what I was going to answer. Kings of environment. Okay, if you go down to southern Brazil, any of these places like that, the more have the third world, or maybe not even the third world, to be honest with you. Okay, I've got something here. Anyways, Paul sent it to me, Sonny. I don't know who you are, but you're on my phone. I'll be glad to answer your question after the show. No big deal. Yes, you can share some of my YouTube interviews if you're listening right now. Yes, you can. I don't care. We're an open book here. We like to have fun. We have interviews and we do discussions like this. It's just Bigfoot talk. It's all it is, and you're more than welcome to share if you want to. There you are. You're a little darker.
Sorry about that. My phone's been dying for no reason here lately, so I had to switch over to my laptop.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. Let me see where I was at. Okay, keys of environment. That's right. All right, I'm gonna say this much. If you take Flat Rock there and you put him out in the woods and he knows how to survive, what to eat, where to get water, how to hunt. Let's put it that way. And he's got to basically kill for his food and pull up plants for his food and such. Before you know it, Flat Rock's gonna have some of the strongest but skinniest legs you ever seen in your life. His thighs are gonna be thinner. His muscle structure is going to be smaller but stronger. If that makes sense to you guys, you go down there to Brazil. You look at them guys, man. They can shimmy up a tree in like no time faster than a monkey can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you've got these creatures out there that's in this environment that are being taught not to avoid us, but they are of a curious nature, and they get caught every now and then. They still hunting. They're still hungry. They're still out there. They're not going to let you interfere with what they're trying to do. You see where I'm going with that? So yeah, they do have abilities beyond what we can do, and there are, I'm sure, another number of theories on that. But anyways, that's my opinion. Okay. Stephen, I've seen those things that do exist. If you live in the woods, have to chase your food, enjoy winter, avoid humans, I'd say natural survival skills and smarts. Very smart. Very smart. And you're very welcome, my blog, Sonny. I figured that was you on here. I'll answer you personally later on, but yeah, you're welcome too. Thomas, did you see a human turn into a werewolf? Just curious. That's a deep rabbit hole right there, babe. All right, now we are starting to get into, and I was really wanting to go the other direction, but hey, guys, if y'all want to talk about that, I'm game. I think Dogman is a government experiment that has been put out in certain places to see if they breed or how long they might live. No, they are a type of dogman. They are huge. I think Thomas has answered the question for Stephen. And guys, I'm going to tell you this much on werewolves. Now, we're talking werewolf movie style, okay? Where you have a human that has been bit or whatever, and he changes into a werewolf, okay? grows the hair, the snout, the ears, the hair on the legs change, everything else. And I just flat out told him, no, it does not happen. Does one get crazy and thinks he's a dog or a werewolf or whatever? I can see that happen psychologically, but not as physical. There's no way that my jaw is going to stick out another 2 or 3 inches, and my ears are going to grow, and my legs are going to bend funny and grow claws. Your human body will not take that. We are not built for that. There is no way. And then to change back to regular form can't be done. I'm sorry. That's just movies. That's for I understand what Tom is saying. I do. I know, and I know what he's explained to me, and that makes me curious. And it's further research needs to be done in my mind. Let's put it that way. All right, guys, what do you want to go to now? Where were we at? Are we still talking footprints? Are we talking about different breeds? Or do we
You
want to
go
talk about?
anywhere you want, Box.
All right,
I'm up. I'm
Josh.
game for anything. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go this route, and I seen it on Flat Rock's page the other day, and it bothered me.
Okay.
Flat Rock was good enough for me to let me show his film on the show. What about a couple weeks ago? And I still say that is one of the best films that I have seen because it's natural. Okay.
Mhm.
Does it reveal a whole lot? Probably not to you guys, but it does to me. You know, it
Mhm.
reveals a whole lot. Uh, one, it proves that there's something out there walking around his property for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it showed eye shine. And that's something that I was real curious about. Well, it showed me that, yeah, they've got eye shine. Okay. That's why I say it's one of the best ones I've ever seen since the Patterson film. Me personally. Okay. There's
Mhm.
nothing fake about it. Okay. So I look at this film that he done, that put forward, and then
Mhm.
he went and put it on his Facebook page.
Okay.
You remember doing that, Flat Rock?
Yeah.
And you had a certain person come on there and ask the question, and that's what really has been building up to this show. She put in there, and I'm not going to say her name. I'm not trying to do anything here. I'm just going to put it out there. She said, did Bigfoot cloak twice in that film?
No.
Okay.
No.
Why would she think that it cloaked?
No idea. I mean, the wood usually it's dark, except for the lights you see and a cooler.
Yeah.
Where that thing walked across the yard at, it walked right into the wood line. Walked toward, then turned toward my house.
Mhm.
Looked at the camera. You see the eyes when it looked at the camera, and then turned back off and walked in toward the lease over here. Right on the other side of my house.
Mhm.
And that's all it did. It didn't disappear. It just got in some thicker woods
Mhm.
where there's kudzu and vines and
Yeah.
trees. Just walked in the woods. That's all it did.
Yeah. But here's the thing, cloaking. I've heard that many a times. Josh, have you heard anything about it?
I have. I've heard quite a bit about it. I've heard a guy who, I'm not going to put any names out there, but he was kind of wanting to do an experiment to get I think it was a black bear skin with fur on it. And he wanted to put the clear hair on the end of it. And I guess test something. But to me, they could have had a little bit of just like clear hair on the outside of their normal, like what you would see their normal hair. And that could have been light. I mean, if you look at a polar bear's skin is black,
Yeah, you was
but
talking
their
about
hair is
that.
white. And you can't pick them up on a thermal. It is all the necessity of bending the sun and light. So when that happens, I look at it as this. If you maybe have this much, and that's all it takes, this much of a little bit,
Hey,
to
Bear.
get that light just right, it could camouflage. It could camouflage and look like, okay, it could look like a tree or something if it bit right. But does it completely just disappear? I haven't seen that.
I
Well,
got a story on that, Icebox. Well, I had
go
some
ahead.
researchers over here in October, and Bud, he got his thermal after Boo reacted to something right here in the woods. He got his thermal out, and he caught something just right on the backside of the house here, and he caught it as it's ducking in behind a tree. But the thing is, on that thermal, you can see it ducking in behind a tree, but it ain't as hot as it should be. Ain't hot at all. It's like ghostly colors, grayish. Instead of being white hot, it's a grayish color. Like, it wasn't producing heat whatsoever. You put that thermal on us, even on my dog, we're hot
Oh,
as crazy.
yeah, they shine like a
But on
daggone
this
Christmas tree.
thermal, it's ghostly color, like it ain't producing heat at all. You can see it. You can see it ducking behind that tree on the thermal footage, but it's not hot. And so are they regulating their temperatures? Is it their hair? Is it that white greasy stuff on their bodies? I mean, I think that's a question to be determined. For those who really research this thing, and I think that's an unknown in my opinion.
Well, I have had that discussion, Flat Rock, with Oak Bear, and I think I've had it with Thomas too. From my understanding, and you've said it too, that the tips of their hair is translucent.
Mhm.
Okay, you could take thermal, and I could stand on the other side of this window, and you won't be able to see me. You
Right.
won't see me. Okay, you might see an outline, but I go back to an August camp out that we done or went to, and Josh down there was here, and he had a little thermal thing, and we have, and I'm just gonna say that this way, guys, and I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings here, but supposedly we found one that was behind a tree, a young one, if I'm correct. So that's what I was explaining to me. Well, they let me look through the thermal, and all I could see this tree was down at the bottom. You could probably see the outside. What I was assuming that was the part of the right side of a foot. And then on up, I seen an arrow shape that was kind of dimly lidded, but I did see it move. When I say move, it didn't move by a whole lot. It wasn't like it was flailing. It was just like just a little bit. You know what I mean? And that being that close, these two guys could tell you how close it was. I can't tell you. Uh, but it being close like that, you would think that thing would have lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm with you, just like my dogs. I let them thing out, and oh my Lord, have mercy. I mean, it's just so bright it ain't even funny. Like they're on fire. Uh, but I've talked to Obear, and I asked him. I said, "Does this translucent hair? It can't be just like a undercoating. It has to be overcoating, I would think, but it would cover over the black hair or whatever color you're looking at that you can't really pick it up. It acts like a window. You can't really pick up the heat through this translucent hair. That's my assumption. Okay. What part is not covered? Yeah, you can probably pick that up pretty good. What's your opinion on it, Bear?
Well, it's pretty. See, like now this time of year, they have that under hair that keeps them. It's thick and it overlaps and it keeps their body temperature in. Um, so when you're shining using a thermal, a lot of their body heat is under that first layer of hair. The second layer, especially if they got their back to you, it doesn't emit heat with that double layer of hair because the long hairs on the back they're translucent, to a certain length on the hair, and it does act like a window. It keeps that heat from showing up because there's none escaping from the body. In the front, if they're facing you, the only heat that you would get if they have their head up, you'll get the face. And it's funny because all their hair is designed to keep their body temperature structured at a certain degree, like ours is 98.6. It's typical for a human. A Bigfoot might be 104, 105 because of their body size and because of what type of area they live in. It's meant to keep all their heat in to regulate their body temperature because they can't go and walk in the house and get warm like we do. They don't wear clothes, so they have to have that double layer of hair on their body, and the short hair is the thermal regulator. And when you shine them with a thermal, if they've got thick body hair, you're not going to get to see it. The only thing you're going to pick up is whatever heat comes off the face or off the fingers. And that's a buddy of mine. When we used to go out and go bigfooting together, we had one standing at 20 feet, and he took his thermal. He had one of those ones that was had like a trigger on it. You could pull the trigger on it, and it would show up. Well, he couldn't get anything on it. He'd take it down, and he'd look right at it, bring it right back up, and it wasn't there. But that was in the dead of winter when he done that, and you could see it. It was a moonlit night, Bigfoot, but you couldn't. Thermal was like, it's not there, and he'd done it 4 or 5 times. And finally, I looked at him and I said, "You ain't gonna get nothing because of their second layer of hair on their body." And he just looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, "No," I said, "You just proved it to yourself 5 times." So it all depends on if they're standing there looking at you, and it depends on the time of year. Summertime, that first layer isn't thick, and you can pick the front up, but you can't pick the back of them up.
So
And it's because of the long hair down the back that has that translucent layer. It doesn't show up.
okay.
It'll show up as a black object, no heat.
So I will hold up right there for just a second. And thanks for coming on, Bear. I already said hi to Henry, and they got some comments in here that we might want to address before the night is over with. But anyways, Joe Parker, glad to see you, man. I've heard a lot about you. And I'm glad to
Yeah,
see you.
Joe was over here that night as well. We filmed that back here in the back. He was over here at that time. I mean, we just couldn't explain why this thing was not, putting out heat the way it should. It just was not putting out heat,
Yeah.
and it
There's another
should.
buddy.
Well, we was close to it, and it just wasn't putting out heat.
Yeah, you got another buddy on here, Steve Tuttle. Hey, Steve.
Steven,
Glad to hear
as
you.
well. Yep.
Yep.
Steven's been over here.
Yep. Joe is backing you up. Hands and face didn't light up either. Does that mean thermal from drones and FLIR on shows are fake? Real question.
No.
Bear, you guys could have at it. Give me 5 minutes, would you please? And you guys carry on. Would that be all right? Could y'all cover me for 5?
Mhm.
All right, cover me for 5.
Now, I honestly believe it's different types of thermals that puts out, that shows, difference in heat and resolutions and all. So, that could also be an issue, but not with the heat, whatsoever.
Well, I can say this. I have a photo, and I'm pretty sure I have it on my group. I think I posted it. Bear, it's the one I want to show you in April. I have, if you're paying attention close enough, you're looking at a tree, and you can see brief heat outlined. If you look good enough, and you can see his back, but you see the outline of him. But if you're not paying attention, you almost think you're looking right at the tree. But you can see his arm there, and you can see his hand pushed up. And I also have another one, and this was the first. And just to go backstory, I've used a thermal since I started. But I have one thermal image, and it's from here all the way up here. It cuts him off right here. And that when you said wintertime, that most of it wouldn't show. That one was lit up like no tomorrow. And that picture, that thermal image was taken in the wintertime. So I'm surprised to hear when you said they normally wouldn't show, that it actually showed him that well.
Was that an older Bigfoot, or was that a
I
fairly young
honestly
one?
don't know. I was a pretty good ways away. I was uphill, and I was looking downhill. And to be able to get down to be able to see where I could see exactly, like I knew what I was looking at because you could tell by the height difference and where I was at. There was a pine tree that was down. There was a couple of them, and I got down further down below where it was at to take a repicture, and you could not see me at all. And I'm 6'4", so I'm a pretty tall person. So you would think you would have been able to see me if you're looking downhill. Well, you couldn't see me with that thermal at all. That brush was over my head. But you could see where the shoulders were cut off here and the head up. That much I could see. But I did there was a few footprints there, but they were in snow. You couldn't really cast them. They were worth counting at all.
Right. The thing with thermals is it really depends. Like if you go with FLIR, they're supposed to be one of the top ones out there. And my buddies, he went all out. Whenever thermals come out, he went out, bought the most expensive equipment that he could find. And it's just the way he was. I mean, he would buy recorders, he would buy cameras, he would buy video cameras, he bought everything in the world because when he had his first experience with Bigfoot, it was just a passing thing, and he jumped in it whole hog. And he bought that thermal, and he had a FLIR, um, thermal, night vision, everything on it. I think it cost him back then. I think it was around $4 or $5 grand, and he bought it. And I'm like, buddy, wait, what do you got now? He's showing me this, and he told me go stand over here, and he took a little, he stuck it on me, and yeah, you could see me because I didn't have heavy clothes on yet. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. But we walked up on that video, up to that Bigfoot, and we were getting across a right of way. And we took 2 steps out in the right of way, and the snow was on. And he looked at me, he said, Man, you hear them footsteps. Yeah, something's coming. Just stand still. This Bigfoot walked out into the right of way and stopped and looked at us. It's moonlit. You could clearly see the Bigfoot in the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just a big black Bigfoot, black hair, long hair all over its body. And it looked like a, not a human, not a full human, but looked more like it was Cro-Magnon type.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the early stages of mankind is what science says. And he grabbed that thermal because it had the capability to make short 15-second videos. He picked it up and pulled the button on it to capture the Bigfoot, and you couldn't see it. The Bigfoot raised its head, and you could see the heat come up on its face. Nothing on the body. Um, and when he did that, it was like, is it showing up? You got the video? No, it ain't there. And when he did it, I mean, he done it 4 or 5 times. That Bigfoot just stand there and look at us. And it was a full-grown male. But every time he did it, it never showed up except for just the face. And you could see you couldn't even see the back of the hands until it raised its hand. When it started turning, you saw the hand because I guess it raised its hand and had its palm toward us. And that's all he got on the video. And he was so disgusted. He was mad at himself. He could have used FLIR, the FLIR setting, and got the whole thing on video. But he had it on thermal because that's what he wanted. And it did not show up except for the face and the hand. That's it. And he was mad.
But y'all,
But at a distance like that, I'm not sure. I don't know why that one would show up like that, Josh.
let me ask a question. Y'all just jump in here, and I've been listening, of course. I don't know why you keep popping out, Josh. But there we go.
My
Uh,
internet messed up. Sorry.
that's okay. Uh, so I'm taking it, and I'm gonna go to Flat Rock right quick. Uh, you and Joe were down there filming with Thermo, if I take it correctly. And by the way, Barry Bounty, hey bud, glad you come. I know you're friends with Flat Rock, but like I said, you guys are welcome to come on here anytime. But I got a full panel right now, so we'll leave it at that. But next time we have another discussion, if you guys want to come on and discuss some things with us, y'all be more welcome to. But anyway, Flat Rock, you and Joe was down there filming with Thermal. This is October. Was it still warm down there?
Yes.
Okay. And Bear is saying that they put on more hair in the wintertime. Is that correct, over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Josh, do you also find that Bigfoot has more hair in the wintertime?
Yeah.
So I'm taking it that Bigfoot is going to be harder to spot with a thermal in the wintertime. And Flat Rock being from down south, they're still warmer down there. They're not really going to have that thicker hair till probably what? Do you think they grow thicker hair uh, like deer do? They have certain times, and next thing you know, now they're all of a sudden the bland color, I call it, because in the summertime they got more of a reddish tone to them. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that they just naturally come around October they start changing their hair color, or do you think it has something to do with the environment? What do you guys think?
I personally think it's the environment. The ones I've seen mostly here for the last since 2019 is mostly all black. Not mostly all black, personally all black, except for that one, which was a brown color. But what happened with him? Um, Other than that, they just been all solid black. I ain't seen no reddish colors in them. Just solid black.
Have you seen any? And I'm just asking. Have you seen any say such in January? Because usually
Yeah, I've
January is
seen
the
them in
coldest month.
January. Yeah. I've
All
seen them
right.
in every month. I've seen them in every month, mostly in 2019 into 2020. You know, all of 2020. Every month I've seen them in 2020. Every month.
Okay.
Now it ain't that much anymore. You know, so mostly it's October. It was September into October.
Yeah.
You know, and it's off and on throughout the rest of the year. But it picks up a lot more in the spring, and then it drops off again, and then come September, first day of fall. I mean, first day of autumn, it just dramatically picks up. That's about time the hunters start putting out their corn, putting out more corn for their deer in their tree stands, and I believe that's the reason they're coming around more during that time because that's when all the deer are coming in.
But have you noticed if uh, like I said, I'm from the South. October is still a hot month.
Yeah,
I've seen it where uh, Halloween, man, you're sweating your butt off. And I'm going to talk about it when we was kids. If you
yeah.
was in any kind of a Halloween mask, oh Lord, you was taking that thing off, wiping off the sweat. So in January, when you seen them, did they have thicker hair on them?
I
That you
really
could
couldn't
notice?
tell you. I really couldn't tell you, Icebox. I mean, they're just solid, so black.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they're just so black. And they're basically hairy already. Some with hair all the
Sure.
way down their faces. Down the side, down to their shoulders. Some, short haired. Like the big one I seen. With a moose lick up here. But they're just all solid black. When my mom and Mr. Bobby put bright lights on them, you still couldn't see him. You could only see the outline of him and his eyes. That's all you could see. And him going back and forth like this around that tree. Uh, I mean, you couldn't tell then either, even with bright lights on them. They're just so black.
Yeah. And by the way, before we move on, guys, I've got people coming in and out, in and out, and I just want to make sure I wish everyone in the chat room Merry Christmas. You've got 2 shopping days left, guys, gals. Get her done. You got 2 days left.
Yeah,
But
and as Joe's saying right there, the leaves are still thick. They're
yeah,
still thick right now
yeah.
out here.
Let's see up here. It's different for us, up here. Uh, Old Bear. I don't know about Old Bear's territory, and I'm not sure about Josh's, but right here in this particular part of Indiana, their leaves are gone. It's ground frozen. The temperature is dropped. It would make sense that they have really thick hair right now. But anyways, all right, Josh, what do you got? Wait a minute.
More in the wintertime, you definitely like if you see a reddish haired one, it seems to be it'll look a lot darker because the hair gets a lot thicker. Um, Especially during the wintertime. Like Flat Rock said, the black if you see a black colored hair one here, their hair's already black, so you can't really tell how thick it is.
Exactly.
It does seem seasonal to pick up being thicker or thinner hair, but it's not like you're going to get that thin hair because here in Ohio, and like I said, I've dealt with the grass man. He has long, thick hair. So trying to debate that, you really have to pay attention when you're looking at them to know do they have thicker hair or not. It's hard to pick up. Did they actually get more hair in the summertime or wintertime because they've already got that long, thick hair on them.
All right. I will say this. We done a little camp out up here, and I showed oh Bear, I don't know if I showed it to anybody else. Some of the video that I done with the thermal. And oh Bear, I know it caught his attention. It looked like there was something standing out there in the woods with head, shoulders, and arms. And I seen Bear's look, when he seen it, and I'm like, I don't think that was nothing. And that was just me talking. Because if I felt like old Bear thought it might have been something, he would say something. But you could clearly see it, but it wasn't glowing. Do you remember that particular uh, video I'm talking about, Bear? Because I said something to you. I said I don't
Yeah.
think it is, but it not showing like a daggum light bulb standing out there in the woods. I'm kind of curious. What was your real original thoughts about that?
Well, when I remember the video completely, and I watched it, and when that showed up, I'm like, well, it shows a physical form, and it made me question whether it was a Bigfoot or if it was just the way the trees looked. It could have been, a fallen treetop or something that had broken limbs or limbs that had gotten and it rolled when it
Hmm.
fell. But the thing of it was, it did look like a
It
form
did,
of a human or a Bigfoot, the classic form of something standing
but it
there.
was cold. It was cold lit.
Yeah. And that was what? That was what, November when you
I
done
believe
that?
so.
So at that time of year, and this is what I see a lot here in West Virginia in the winter. Um, by the time that the white-tailed deer here start getting their heavier coats, they start developing a heavier coat in September and October. Bigfoot does the same. And it's not that that long hair got any thicker, it's the underneath hair. It's like if it's like a carpet, almost like a thick, not shag carpet, but a thick pile carpet that develops against their bodies here. Because the temperatures in the wintertime here in West Virginia, in the daytime, it might go to 60 degrees. It might be 70 degrees, depending if we have a warm winter or a cold one. But at night, it typically drops down next to freezing, 32.
Hmm.
Now, if we're outside at that temperature, we could, develop hypothermia and die. But Bigfoot, their body temperature typically is a little bit hotter than ours. So that thick hair underneath is developed to keep is there and it keeps their body temperature high because of the thickness and because that's what it's for. It's an insulator. The same as us putting clothes on, that's their insulation. And from usually September, October, in October, temperatures might plummet to 20, 30 degrees at night and be 60 degrees in the day. Come November, it's 20s to 40 something in a day. And in the wintertime, it you know, like this month, December, it might get up to 32 or it might be 60. We don't know, until the day warms up enough. Today was only 42 degrees here, but right now it's about 20 degrees.
Hmm.
So that thick hair on them is an insulation and it keeps all the heat in. And many times when people use thermal, and on all you might get is an outline.
Hmm. And that's what.
I've seen that's the reason when you showed me that video, I stopped.
Hmm.
and I had to say, I kind of okay.
Scratch your head.
Is that a Bigfoot stingray?
Yeah, I know. I wondered the same, but I didn't want to say. All right.
Because we've got it before like that,
Have you?
and that's the reason I stopped. And it puzzled me.
Well, later on, like I said, we did hear a growl, but I'm not going to get into that. I've got a bigger fish to fry right now. Paramedic, hey buddy, I ain't seen you in a long time. I'm glad you're in the chat room. He's wondering if they're better insulated than alpacas. But before we get to that, Henry has been saying some interesting things over here. Left eye, this and that. But anyways, he's been leaving sweets out, I believe. And yeah, I know what's fixing to happen here. They're putting out raspberry, Twinkie, honey, and peanut butter. We taught the female how to take the lid off. Took a month. Big male chews the bottom of the peanut butter container off, then uses a stick to get it out. Creamy. Ah, you're playing with fire, brother. I'm to each his own.
Yeah,
But
a lot.
you're playing with fire. Just be careful. I'm going to say that. Just be careful. I don't want to see nobody get hurt over that, but I've always been taught, do not feed the bears. Do not feed the bears.
Now, I tell you what scares me, Icebox.
What's that?
I had some friends over here last week, and the husband or the boyfriend is the one who's actually seen one before. The girlfriend hasn't, and so they're good friends of mine. So I brought them over here, and they said they actually seen one, but either way, I didn't see it. But I took them out in the woods that night. They was kind of talking a little loud. We got over to this area I call the high grass area, and they got talking pretty loud. And the next thing you know, you hear two hard stomps, and then it sounded like a good sized sapling tree just pow popped, and I knew that was a back off sign. When they stomp, you back out. Well, that didn't scare them, but I knew it was time to get out of there. And people who ain't scared of that type stuff, when they're stomping at you and breaking stuff, stomping toward you, and you don't get out of there, that could put you and them in danger. And people's got to start understanding these things are not cuddly creatures. They will come at you and they will hurt you. I've had enough experience here to know that these creatures, they don't play around with you. And and I hope, when I told them, hey, let's get out of here, get back to the house, that they understood that, we were in danger standing there once that thing stomped at us and snapped that sapling the way it did. But they're great people. I love them to death.
Mm-hmm.
But that's got to start. They got to start knowing that that's a bad thing when that happens. It ain't just something you want to listen to and stand there and hope you hear more. You need to back out. Because we got close to something back there, and like I said, we were all talking kind of loud when that happened, and that was just Friday week, I think. And people who ain't scared of these things, they better, because they will get hurt. One day they're going to get hurt, and they're going to regret that.
Well, I just put up Henry's comment there. I have warned them it can get very bad for neighbors if they stop for any reason. That's what we're getting at. That's what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You play with fire. Flat Rock sent me something. It was a recording that a Bigfoot was it messing around with a grill?
Yes.
Is that what it was doing? And he was looking. I guess he could smell. I'm assuming that you've cooked in it recently. and that
Yep,
he was
that day.
smelling that, and he was trying to get into something. If he had found something in there, he's gonna come back day after day after day, or night after night, I should say,
Well,
and see if there's any more.
he ended up getting licking that grease trap and whatever was left on that flat iron grill. You know,
Yeah,
what he was doing.
DNA, baby, DNA.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, you've been quiet for a little while. What you got on your mind?
Well, Flat Rock, you said something, and I do agree to a point that sometimes when you hear stomping, when you hear snapping, it's time to go. But also, when you're out there with these things, and let me explain this. Actually, can I answer someone's comment real quick?
Sure.
Because Steve Hicks put, I always wondered if it was possible to befriend or befriend a Bigfoot or a Bigfoot family.
I knew that
I
would
want
catch your eye.
to answer his thing. I grew up with them. I actually played with their young. I played with alpha male. Literally slept with them. They killed deer. I ate with them. I mean, I cooked the meat, but I ate with them. I literally did that for years before they got kind of moved out of the area, and they're on the move now. I don't know where they're at because, well, I do, but I'm not going to say because that area is getting clear cut, so they'll be moving out of there.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying to you, Flat Rock, is, and I mentioned this to Icebox a while back, or well, it wasn't that long ago, is there are, with being with like the Grassmen and being as close as I have with them and stuff, yes, sometimes stomping in that, but you've got to also pay attention is there any young around? Is there?
There probably was.
Yeah, well, yeah, but any other predator that you think of, if you think of a bear, okay, you get a bear that's, they'll chatter their teeth at anything that's danger to them, especially a sow or they're young. Sometimes they're not always doing it towards you. So it's kind of, you have to make a judgment call. And you sometimes stand in there just for a couple more minutes to see if, hey, does it happen again? Or does it get closer? It gives you a determination of, are they doing it towards you? Or are they doing it towards something else and they're not really minding you're there? They're trying to get something that's more dangerous than a human out of the area. And I've also had them do it, and I told Icebox this, and I think I might have mentioned this to Bear when I had taken other people out with me.
I can answer that question, Josh, real quick.
Yeah.
We have no bears. I've seen 2 bears since we lived here, a mama and a cub. And that was a few years ago, okay? We're the only ones back there, period.
Okay.
Nothing else. That thing come at us.
Okay.
There's no doubt that thing don't come toward us.
Okay.
And I've had it happen before in 2020 with me and another researcher came over here. This thing, just stepped right toward us. This was during the daytime, so we actually seen it. It actually stepped right toward us. I said the same thing. It's time to get out of here. We're out of here, And, we started backing out. And to me, that's always the best thing to do is to back out. When you hear something like that and you know what that is, because the stomps were hard enough to know it's time to get out. Because these were hard stomps and it was a hard break. Okay. And having these things right here on this property, I've come to know that it's time to move when they do something like that. Okay. Now, what they do in other places, I can't tell you. All I can do is tell you what here. They've been belligerent here before. They can be belligerent again now.
Are they?
I'd rather just back
Mhm.
out, let them have their room, stomping toward us or not. They can have their room. We're going back. And to me, it's always the best practice.
Okay.
Well, let me jump in on this. Josh, you remember that year that I come up there and we were there at Salt Fork and everybody, including Mrs. Bear, was sitting there going, yeah, when you going to do a call? You remember the scream that I did?
Yeah.
And then, you heard that one that started stomping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got up and done that loud grunt type thing and it stopped.
Yeah.
Do you know why it was stomping?
Yeah, because you challenged it.
Right. Stomping is a way for them to say that they're not happy. They're kind of upset. When they start that stomping thing and it gets closer and closer and they keep stomping, because that one, if you remember correctly, that one stomped 5 or 6 times, and every time it was closer. It was almost to the edge of that trail, to the edge of the campground where we were at that night.
Yeah.
And and then everybody asked me, "Well, why'd you do that?" Because it was pissed because I challenged it, and it was mad at me. And whenever I told it to shut up, not to come over here because it was dealing with another alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had to do that grunt sound, because it was ready to fight. Um, they do that stomping when they're really upset and they're angry. And it the grass man. I know you deal a lot with the grass man, and I know you grew up with a clan.
Yeah.
And if you think back when you were younger and you were around them, when the big male got upset, he would stomp.
The
And
only
it's yeah, when he gets upset and he starts that stomping, somebody's about to get slapped, and he doesn't. They don't like that too much. When they get to that point of stomping, it's it's uh, it's it shows their anger
Mm-hmm.
and shows that they're going to get you're going to get a reaction, and you don't want that reaction. So I understand why.
He
I
backed out.
understand completely about it. And I've been stomped at so many times. I'm like Flat Rock. If they start stomping, I'm not going to turn around and run, but I'm going to start backing up to get outside of
Exactly.
his
Back
attack
out.
zone, and I don't want to be in that zone. Um, so whenever you start hearing stomping like that, and they're close to you, they're ticked off at you. They're not ticked off at another Bigfoot. They're ticked off at you.
See, in my experience growing up with them, anytime if that alpha male would stomp, there was either a coyote close to us.
Danger.
He never did it out of anger towards any of us. Any of us. He only
Right.
did it when there was something dangerous. Now,
Well,
like I
it,
said, to me, I've noticed that.
yeah,
Now
they
I've done
do
a step further,
it.
and I with you just saying this, I know I'm going to get in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I know I'm going to get yelled at for this one because last year I had one stomp at me, and I started stomping back at him. I told him to back up,
Josh.
and he turned around and went, and I could see him, and he went, and he just walked off,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, you just wanted to get attention is all you were trying to do.
Well, yeah, that wasn't an alpha though, was it? It could have been a beta male.
It was. It was. The
So-
other four that was there were
Yeah.
smaller in size, and when I stomped, they were surrounding me, and I stomped, and it was just like he went and snorted, and he just walked off. Like, you're bullheaded. You ain't.
Yeah, see,
you're
I
not-
can.
You just count.
Yeah, I can understand why people want to stay. It's that adrenaline rush. I understand that, and and just getting that encounter, and that's what people are out there for, is to get that encounter, get that adrenaline rush. But to me, I'd rather be cautious than worry about something like that. I'm sorry.
I totally
And,
understand.
and
You have
having people over at your house,
Mhm.
you even though they wouldn't do it, you still gotta look at it. What about lawsuits? What if one of them creatures did come out and killed one? I'd lose everything.
Well, you got
I could lose everything.
right. Look at something. And I told Bear and Josh this. We were doing that camp out. I had two young guys, and when I say young guys, a little bit green in this field, and they were good enough to go camping with me. We heard a growl, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but when I heard that growl, I knew that it was kind of like a warning. You're getting too close. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't stopping. It was just, Well, I got two guys that are green. If I had Bear, Josh, you, well, okay, I might push the issue a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I got experienced people with me. But it's your responsibility. It's Josh's, it's Bear's, it's mine. Any one of these guys in the chat room, if you taking someone out, and you're basically the guy that set this up, the ringleader or whatever you want to call it, it's your responsibility for everybody's safety. Okay. What they do at that point in time, well, that's on them, but you want to use everything that you can do to keep them safe. Okay. Yeah, if you get a great encounter, that's great. That's fine. That's lovely. But, now's the time to back it out. You know what I'm saying? Get out of there safely. Don't push the issue. You know what I'm saying? And had these guys had, like I said, if it was Bear or somebody like that, you guys, yeah, I would have pushed the issue. I'm wanting to know where this thing come from because I can't see nothing on thermal. And that's what I'm getting at. Bear, you know just as well as I do. We go somewhere, it's your responsibility to keep everyone safe, not me. You ain't got to worry about me, but we got our wives. Josh is the same way. Flat Rock, you got people coming to your property. It's your responsibility to keep them safe. Now, what they do outside of your bounds, and if they happen to get chased at, a rock thrown at them, or they don't listen to what you're telling them, it's on them. You see where I'm going?
Yep.
If they're going to come on your property, I think you need a little waiver saying if you get out here and do something stupid, you can't sue me. Just to cover your own butt. That's my opinion. I would.
Yeah, I mean, they listened to every word I said. When I said let's back out, I know they wanted to stay. I mean, they said they wanted to stay, but I knew, hey, let's go, and they came. But I knew they would want to stay just by what they said when they got back here. But yeah, you just don't do that.
And you're going to hear this too, man. I wished I had done this. I wished I had done that. Okay. Yeah, I get it. But safety first. You want to live to tell the tale. You don't want to be in some book called 411 somewhere, or 911, whichever they call it. Go ahead, Bear.
Okay.
My only big concern.
John.
Yeah. Go ahead.
First off, when I see you this spring, I might turn you across my knee for doing that. First off, buddy, that was brave. I'll give you that much. That was very brave of you to do that. Stomping at them, especially when there's other ones around, that was kind of foolhardy, my friend. Um, you know, we look at you, me and Mrs. Bear, we both look at you like you're one of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
We look at your wife the same way. We've pretty much adopted both of
Mm-hmm.
them. And something like that, but I know you've been around clan and it was a very docile type clan. But if it's another clan or another type of Bigfoot that you run into, you can't do that. The clan you grew up around accepted you as a family member. And that's why they treated you the way they did. They looked out for
Yeah.
you. But the other clans that are in Ohio, you can't do the same thing. You have to err on the side of caution every time, unless you're dealing with the same clan you grew up with.
Well,
And I'm not chewing you out for this.
no,
And you know, like I
now
said, that was a brave move.
well, I didn't completely tell you why I did the stomping back.
Okay, well then tell me why, and then that way I won't have to turn you across my knee.
I was out. I was supposed to be out by myself,
Uh-huh.
and my wife's cousin dropped off her kid unexpectedly, and I was out in the woods and said, "You need to take her. My car is broke down." So she brought her to me. Well,
Uh-huh.
where I was at, I was right by my car when I was there.
Mhm.
And I was trying to get her to get in the car. Well, they were stomping. My thing is I stomped back to get them to leave her alone. She was little and she was crying.
Oh.
That is more why I stomped. And it was, if it had to gone a little further, I would have growled at him. But I had a kid with me, and that is why I
Right.
took the aggressive manner that I did. Kind of like when Renee was walking out with us when we went down that spot the first time, and you see me turn towards the woods and say no. I did the same
Right.
thing, basically to chase them away because I had a little girl. I mean, she's 12, but I had to. She was right there, and I was trying to get her in the car.
Okay, so I won't turn you across my knee this way.
All right.
But yeah, you had to protect her, and they knew that. They knew that the reason they were stomping is because you were there, and you had this little child with you, and they understood when you stomped that you meant business. You're getting too close. You're scaring her. Leave me alone. They got it, and they understood that. And I'm glad it turned out the way it did. But there's clans out there like dealing with the Yahoo here in West Virginia. Um, I've done that before, and I've gotten stuff thrown at me for doing it to get them to leave me alone, to at least let me walk out, because I'm not going to run from them. I mean, if they want to come and surround me and start stomping and growling, well, it's on and Katie bar to the door, because the only thing I can tell you is I'm walking out. They may not walk out, and I hate, and people get on to me all the time for having that attitude, but that's the way I'm hardwired, and you know that things like that tend to upset me. If they surround me, okay, so you want to push the envelope. Okay, let's start pushing the envelope. I'll do it if I'm by myself. But you had someone with you, and that shows that when you start that stomping and in response to them, that shows them that you're an alpha and you're not playing games now. You're to the you've already been pushed. They've pushed you past that point of no return. You were willing to do what you had to do to take care of the situation and protect her, and they understood that when you stomped back at them. So it worked. They understood it. They left you alone, and you got her in the car and did what you needed to do.
I'm,
So I have no problem with that. But if they start stomping at you and you're out there by yourself and they start surrounding you, the best thing to do is you have got to um, either back out or do what you have to do to get out of there. And people don't want to hear that, but these creatures, they're not stupid animals. Everybody says, well, they're not on the line, not on the human level. They are. I hate to tell you this, they can think out problems just like we do. They have an answer within a split second. Their head tells them, their brain works just like ours. They're not dumb. And if they want you, they can formulate a plan and to where they get you without getting hurt. And it's when you throw the monkey wrench in is when you imitate a stomp or do a growl, show an aggression. All right, I'll come at you head on. That's pretty much what you're saying at that point. And that throws a monkey wrench in their plan, and it typically calms them down. But if they really mean you harm, there's not a whole lot that you can do other than have a firearm and do what you have to do with it. And I hate to say that, but I've been in that situation where I've been surrounded and have to shoot a tree where one had his head stuck out and shoot the tree right there next to where his head is, and he turned and run. I've had to because I got stupid. I didn't want to listen to their warnings. And I was in your age group. So it means, I've made those mistakes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a fine line between bravery and stupid. Y'all keep that in mind when you're out there, okay, guys? What was you going to say, Flat Rock?
I froze up.
No.
That's what happened.
But no, you're right. There is a very fine line dealing with these creatures. And I'm like Flat Rock, and I know Josh has done this, and Icebox. You've not been in those situations as of yet.
Thanks, buddy.
We've been in situations. Yeah.
I see what's coming.
Yeah. I've been in those situations. Flat Rock knows, and so does Josh. Josh knows. Don't let anybody fool you. He's a very smart guy. He's working on degrees and everything else, and he's very well educated when it comes to Bigfoot. But we've all pushed that envelope too far sometimes. And I've done it a bunch when I was younger. My middle to late 20s, 30 years old, 35. I'd push the envelope as far as I could push it. And there's been times where I've come out of the woods and I've got a shirt half torn off from me because they ran me through the woods. Ran me through briars, brambles, everything else, rhododendron bushes. I've had to do all that. And when that stuff happens, when it happens enough to you, something clicks in your head and says, look, I need to quit being stupid. and that's it. You don't, because they are so big. They're so freaking strong. It's unbelievable what they can do.
It almost makes it like they got superhuman powers the way it seems, don't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we was talking about earlier in the show that you take somebody, you take Flat Rock, stick him out in the woods, he's going to lose weight, he's going to gain muscle tone, he'll do things that I can't do right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they do. They got
Mhm.
super strength, and yes, they know more about the woods than we do. You know, as far as that goes. But guys, I'll tell you what, it has been 2 hours and 7 minutes. It is now 10 o'clock, and I tell you what, we'll do another one. We'll do another one, but I'm fixing to get off there, and we got so much of the rabbit hole that we can go down, and we just started out just what is Bigfoot, and look where it ended up. You know, but it's been a good show. But I'm gonna go around the board, and guys, if you got anything else you want to say real quick, but we will get out of here and call it a night. But we'll try to look at coming back on next Sunday or something. And if you guys want to come on, I know it's the holidays, and I understand. But we'll look at it and see. If not, we'll come on again here in about a couple of weeks. But anyways, guys, it's been a good show. I've enjoyed each and every one of you. Well, Josh, we'll start with you. You got anything else you want to say?
Nope.
You good to go? Okay. All right. Flat Rock.
Yeah, I got one thing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, why don't you walk toward it? Well, it depends on what you go walk toward. Now, tree knock, stuff like that, yeah, we've had people and me walk toward it. But when you hear stomps and then that snap, I'm not going to walk toward it, and I'm going to advise them not to walk toward it, big time researcher or not.
Yep.
Not going to do it. Knocks and all, fine. We'll walk toward it, see what's making that knock. But outside that, no.
You want to live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. That's your main goal. All
I
right,
mean,
no, man, what you got?
it's a judgment call. You either
Sure.
walk it,
Mhm.
if you think it's safe, or you don't. Well, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. It is a judgment call, but err on the side of caution. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you do that. All right, Bear, what you got?
Well, the only thing I got to say is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. I've done this for so long, and Flat Rock has been living around them. Josh has lived around them. Um, I've made a lot of mistakes over that 40-year period. I've walked towards them when I shouldn't have, and like I said, I might get clothes torn because of it. Um, but today, when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm more cautionary around them because of what I have seen them do. When you see a Bigfoot take and push one single Bigfoot, push over a hickory tree
Mm-hmm.
that's 20 foot tall, 30 foot tall by itself, an 8 or 10-inch thick hickory tree. Hickory tree's got deep roots, and they just push it over like, they're mad at you and they push it over toward you. Yeah, you learn respect. So when you're out there, and if you go out Bigfoot researching, and if you think putting out cupcakes or these little Debbie cakes and this stuff, and the Bigfoot pick it up and eat it, and the package is laying there, and there ain't no Debbie cake in there, and it's not been chewed up by a possum or a raccoon or some other animal that'll eat anything, and you know the difference, and you're feeding these creatures, and you go out there and you do something and you push the envelope to get a sighting, you're doing nothing but asking for trouble. If they're giving you telltale signs of leave me alone and stay out of my woods, then leave them alone and stay out of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science, people. It takes a lot of common sense when you're Bigfooting, and it takes to understand a lot about human nature. Bigfoot imitates us in a lot of ways, does the same things we do. You make them mad, they demonstrate. It's the same as when you get mad, you start running your mouth, people know you're upset. If they start beating on their chest, start growling at you, stomping their foot, they're telling you they're mad at you and they want you to leave. It's time to leave. Don't push it. Josh was in the right for doing what he did because he had a young girl
He
with
had
him.
no choice.
You know, it was either show aggression or they'd walk all over top of him, and there would have been no more Josh and no more little girl. So when you go out Bigfoot and people, take your time, listen to what they're telling you, and do what's best to keep you safe.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, that means somebody's going to come and find your bones in 10 or 12 years, and they're going to see that you were either eaten by these Bigfoot or they inadvertently killed you or just killed you outright and left you laying. Don't take chances. Your life ain't worth getting a sighting.
And they'll blame it on a bear, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna say this. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I want to thank Josh, Flat Rock, and Old Bear for popping in, and Thomas. He got to stay here for a little while. But most of all, I want to tell everybody in the chat room, and I can't name all you guys, so look on me. But I want to wish each and every one of y'all a Merry Christmas. Y'all be safe this holiday, and take care of yourselves. And hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas. And we'll try to catch y'all again next Sunday. If not, we'll try to come on the one following. All right, guys. Anything else y'all got?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
All right, Flat
Merry Christmas.
Rock, give me one. Give me one. Roll
Give me
Tide,
one
baby.
more. Huh?
Give me a Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide, baby.
All right, guys. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. Y'all be safe, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks, y'all, for being here. Y'all have a good night.